Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, TheBee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. And that preserves our value, just like, the bees collect the pollen and nectar, put it into a honeycomb, and it will last pretty much forever. They pull honeycomb out of the Egyptians' tombs and claim it to still be edible. So in the same manner, this channel relates that to silver and gold and precious metals as a whole. And today we're going to talk about one of those metals that seemingly will last forever. No acid or alkaline will break it down, as aqua regia, many know in the metals world, will liquefy silver and gold, break it down, but it won't affect crystallized osmium. So this is a metal that will be preserved for many generations. So with that, I have guest Space Miner joining me here. Space Miner, welcome in.
Howdy. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Space Miner just has a unique knack or unique mind when it comes to precious metals, and how they are alloyed together, their mixtures, their characteristics, what makes them rare, some of their uses, on and on. So he's very well suited for this new metal being brought to the market, crystallized osmium. I think from when I talked to him, it seems like he's just made for this metal. I'm always fascinated to hear his thoughts. And so we've had a couple talks on it. I have some video that I want to go over and talk with him about it, and also some info to look at. And as we look through it, we're just going to chat about it, and hopefully some good information will come out of it. So how are you doing today, Space Miner?
Dude, I am doing well. Heat's coming off of summer, moving into fall. I'm feeling good about it. So
Good deal. Okay, so let's see. Should we start off with, let's start off with the osmium price. Let me pull up the osmium price page. Anyone can do this themselves. I have to stop sharing screen for a second to share it. Okay. So you can go to, if you type into your browser, osmium price, and it might bring up a few sites. So if you type in osmium price and you spell it in the German way, because it's the crystallized osmium, the Osmium Institute is founded in Germany, and so it's to bring up that website every time. If you spell it osmium, OSMIUM, and then price, and instead of spelling price normally, if you spell it PREICE, that will generally bring up that specific website. But when you open it up, it should look like this. And once you get there, you can come over here and you can pick your currency. We're going to pick, of course, US dollars. However, you should know, as precious metals go, most precious metals are priced in dollars. And in this case, this metal, crystallized osmium, is priced in euros. So that is some information that you may want to know. And then you can come up here to the little chart and you can pick 1 year, where it's at right now. You can go to 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, year to date, or all. I'm going to click on all and show you the price performance so far. And we started off here in 2017.
now it's important to note at this time that there's two bars here we're looking at, and one is the price of the high-tech ready osmium, and the other price is the crystallized osmium. So,
Okay, that is a very good distinction. So, so your high-tech ready osmium on the bottom, and then the crystallized on the top is what you're pointing out, right? And in fact, you can see the two boxes, if you guys can see that on your screen, giving you 2 bits of information, one box above another, as I walk it along here. I got into osmium for the first time right about at that peak right there. And of course, it fell off a little bit after I bought into it, commonplace. And then it's really taken off since then. And now we are up over the 2,439 for the crystallized and 1,200 for the high-tech ready osmium. And is that the sponge form?
yeah, the raw sponge.
Raw sponge. Okay, well, since we're speaking on that, I think I'm going to pull up, if I can find it. Let me see if I can just click on this. And
since if you're new to this conversation, the raw sponge is the form that it's the final form from the mine. Okay, because it's the byproduct, it's the end result of all the refining. It's the part that could not be reduced, split, dissolved further, and it's the end of the line. And that's why it claims such a high nobility status.
Hey guys, this is Ingo. I'm leading the.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to jump on.
No, you're good. But the problem is with the sponge, the raw form, is it's a dangerous substance to handle, and that's part of why the Osmium Institute crystallizing the osmium, it made it safe and simple to handle. In fact, it made it so safe it's completely inert. Ridiculously inert, as you had mentioned earlier. No acid or alkaline, hot or cold, is gonna affect this. So
yeah, that's amazing in itself. There are so many of these. I'm going to get with you one of these days and write down a list of just some of these amazing things, because the list really just goes on and on about its uniqueness and this amazing element. Okay, so I've brought up a little clip, and this is Ingo Wolf himself in the Osmium Institute headquarters, where they do a lot of the testing and I don't know what you'd call it, profiling, documentation, cutting, and adding it to their database. And there's been some hoopla or headache or different commentary out there of late talking about, is osmium legit or not, and where could you send it to get it tested? Well, it's kind of an ignorant question without any knowledge on it, and that's understandable. This is a new metal with a new process. But once you figure it out and get down to it, the ultimate place to have osmium tested is the Osmium Institute. Like, they would be the foremost place where you would send it off to get it tested. And I've been contacted a few times with people that have raw osmium sponge from miners themselves reaching out looking to offload it. But the thing about it is, the Osmium Institute won't work with just any osmium sponge. If they can't have proof verified that it's come from a mine that does everything ethically, they're very particular about that. So for them to work with osmium sponge, it needs to be from a mine that passes all of the, ins and out of mining properly. And it has to be of a very, very high purity. And he talks about that here in this clip. I'm going to go ahead and play a section of it here.
Right. Hey guys, this is Ingo. I'm leading the laboratory of the Osmium Institute here in Germany at the headquarters. So what we do here is we'll go step by step through the process with the osmium, and several times it's here in the laboratory. When the osmium comes out of the platinum ore, where it is a little part, then it is first of all in the quality control here, and if the purity is fine enough and if the material is good enough, then it goes back to high purification to Switzerland. And there it's going to be purified to 99.99999% at.
So yeah, I want to stop it right here and point out, so like he's saying, it has to be of a very high pure content for them to even work with it. 595 plus purity, or as Space Miner has pointed out, the crystallization process won't even work right. You can't do it unless you reach these high purifications of osmium. Am I right on that, Space Miner?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons the Institute is so particular, beyond ethical reasons. Like, that's one of their primary driving focuses is ethical sourcing, right? But beyond that is that all of these osmiums contain different amounts of different trace impurities, okay? And so, which demand entirely other processes to remove trace impurity, okay, to remove certain impurities, right? And so sometimes some osmium is just so filthy that honestly they kind of don't want to even taint their equipment, most likely. You know, there's some of this stuff is junk out there. Some of it really is junk. It might be good osmium in it, but it's in a state of quality that could take a lot of work to purify, you know. So yeah, purification and responding to the purity for purpose of crystallization, you're absolutely right. Osmium will not crystallize with certain impurities in it. And even beyond that, once you get those kind of impurities out, there's additional elements that will prevent the uniform and flat crystalline approach, you know, which is kind of like a signature mark of crystal osmium from the Institute. So, so when you look at a piece of crystalline osmium and you say, okay, is it the right color? Is it the right thinness? Is it a uniform crystalline shape? Is it crystalline? When you've answered these, most likely you've done 90% of your verification right there. Like, yes, it's osmium. Yes, it's pure osmium. And we know it's pure because A, it's a crystal, and B, it's a uniform crystalline surface, which can only be done with the purest of osmium. So
indeed. And once we get to that point, also notice what he said. Once they have tested it and it comes up to a high enough purity and they're able to use that osmium sponge, then they send it to Switzerland. And they are located in Germany, the Osmium Institute headquarters where they do the testing. So then they send it to Switzerland to a lab, you know, unknowns to me where exactly, but so it's a whole different area where the process happens. They are simply verification institute, so they have very high grade equipment focused on osmium where they can test, and then as we will see the other things that they do in the process as we move forward in this little clip. I want to shout out some of the people in the chat. Silverboy Blues, welcome in. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. We got Rockamos, as always. Welcome in. 3D Woodworks, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker, OC Stacker, Beto D, and Kevin Hawthorne. Thank you all for hanging out with us. So with that, let's continue on here.
At least, because that is necessary for doing crystallization. So after the purification, it's going to be controlled again. And then it goes to crystallization. In crystallization, there might happen a couple of things. For example, there might be nanoholes in the osmium, or there will be little spikes then you cannot use the osmium, because then you can look through the osmium, or you will touch the osmium and find some crystals that are higher than the others. So that's not perfect. Then it goes back to the recycling process. But all of the osmium that is fine goes to the Osmium Institute and is scanned here for a first time. So the raw material that we receive is scanned, and after that it is going to the cutting process. Because whatever we need for a tangible asset investment or for jewelry production has to be cut first. For the discs, it is just the circle to be cut. For the squares, of course, it's a square. And for jewelry, it's the shapes that we need for jewelry production. After this being done, the osmium will be checked here again, and it will be certified. What you can see here in the background. So this, for example, is a wrong color picture where you can see how high is the crystals of the osmium. And we have a couple of things that we test, like for example, we have the highest point, etc. And then it goes to the database. And in the database, the osmium gets an osmium identification code. In the moment this is done, the osmium is through with the process and can go to a tangible asset investor. One day in future, it might happen that it goes back from there and then will be cut again and will be certified again and goes to perfectly done jewelry. Have a good time.
Okay, so that was that little clip, and notice how he says that they will find the high point and then attach an OIC code to it. And let me drop that down. So once they attach an OIC to it, that's this code right here at the bottom. And also there is, what do you call this little square that you scan with your phone?
QR code.
QR code. So if you're into QR codes, you can simply take your phone, scan this little QR code, and it'll just automatically bring up this piece of osmium, and it will give you the size, the dimensions, the weight, the sparkle grade, all the information you would be interested in. Pull it up on the website. And also, like right now, if I held that close enough, you can actually read the OIC code. Osmium Identification Code is what that stands for. And it's basically the same as looking at the piece. So by me showing the osmium identification code, it's not letting any information out that I'm not willing to have out. I mean, you can type the OIC code into the osmium identification code page, and it will also manually pull up this piece and show you the 3D renderings that they've taken pictures under a microscope, under a heat detection microscope, and it'll show you the high points, the low points. And a little bit later here today, I might be showing you a close-up view of this piece of osmium and how you might identify some of those points. So yeah, there is that. You have anything you would like to add to that, Space Miner?
Before we walk away from the OIC,
Yeah.
a couple pieces of information about it. The OIC, the first letter or two letters can be the identifier, is your identifier of the type of piece. Okay. It'll say, like D3, which is diamond, the diamond shape, which is the round shape, right? You have an A shape. So you have a shape is the category that's listed under one of the shapes. And then the 8 after that are completely random. Okay. They're randomly populated and assigned to this piece and then logged in the institute system for certification and for the purposes you mentioned earlier. So it's what it is, though, is it's a customs identifier or designator of that piece. So this is an actual customs code that's been worked out with the U.S. Customs so that when they see that code, they know that that's osmium and it's legitimate osmium and that it's okay to come on in because it's safe. It's actually osmium. We know what it is. It's safe, and we know an approximately what's in there. So it's pretty cool.
Right. Right. So, yeah, that's important in that every country that has taken on crystallized osmium as an asset, which is becoming many, the Osmium Institute has done the work beforehand and uh, communicated with that country and customs in order that it can be traded freely from country to country without them wondering what in the world this is. So, yeah, everywhere that it's being sold currently, the country itself has signed off on this as a tangible asset. So just because some YouTuber says, oh, this is a scam and stay away from it, well, you're arguing with your very own country. So, it's not like it's just, uh, unrecognized or behind closed doors this trades. No, this has been an in-depth thing that is done, knowing that this will be traded on the world stage and probably become one of the primary instruments in jewelry, high-end jewelry. So they've done the work leading up to it so that the headache doesn't come afterwards, and your country is going to be aware of this product. So, like he says, the OIC code that it helps us to identify it and look at it has also been identified by your country at hand as well. So, okay, let me pull up this next. Actually, let's go ahead and watch our last video clip, and then I'll pull up the web page with info. So I got one more video clip here that I want to show you. So where is that? Oh, hold on. Why are you? Oh, here it is. Sorry, couldn't find it for a second. Okay. Video file. Okay, here we go.
Hi guys, it's me Ingo. Well, after 10 years it was possible to realize a dream, and this is the Osmium flagship store. I'm going to show you a part of this store so that you get an idea what we're doing here. Yes, of course, we do have a little art here, and that is just because we love art and we want to mix it up with the Osmium. So what you can see here is on one hand side the tangible asset investments, just to get an idea.
And I want to point out too, like he says, notice we like art and want to work with art. And that's an amazing opportunity, guys. Some of these unique pieces that he's going to be showing, even though he doesn't really get into them, shows me kind of as a art enthusiast that there's so much opportunity lying here. Like, this is literally a new precious metal that, for thousands of years we've known about gold and silver. Platinum is more of a recent addition, although that would be what, hundreds of years, right, Space Miner?
Yeah, we're into a few hundred years with platinum.
And then this is a platinum byproduct, and this is only 100 to 200 years, and this latest product, like we say, is only 12 years old at this point.
Hold on, I got a factual disclaimer.
Sure.
The platinum.
Yep.
It's only been industrialized past few hundred years, right?
Right. They did know of it way back even in Greek times, but I don't think they really separated it out for use cases.
I don't think they had the technology to like physically work with it at that point,
Indeed. And I think like it being like it has a smell of garlic, right? Like
platinum?
I know osmium does. Like, that's the gas that you don't want to smell from osmium. That's the toxicity, the oxidization that is happening to the osmium gives off a smell like garlic.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the metals, a lot of those toxic metals, it kind of is a theme. They'll smell like garlic, a lot of them.
Okay. Yeah, and they had a word in the Greek meaning garlic smell for some of these rare metals.
What
So I
was it,
think that
Osmi or Osmo? Something like
I
that.
maybe I should get that fact. I don't have it off the top of my head, but point being, they did know about these other metals to an extent, and they knew that um, it was the other white metal, the little white metal, and it had a smell of um, boy, I can't get that to stick now. What was it again? Space Miner?
Garlic?
Garlic, yeah, it smells like garlic. So they knew about that way back when. However, I don't think they separated it out enough to the point to know the difference between platinum and osmium for sure, let alone platinum itself.
Yeah, they didn't have a clue about osmium,
Right.
you know. A lot of it wasn't until oh my I don't know.
1800s.
Yeah, 1800s that they finally separated and identified it. And for a long time it was reduced down to osmiridium, like a be that guys just called it osmiridium or iridosmium, but yeah, they didn't even know about it for a long time. It was just black stuff that remained. And finally they figured out that, hey, this is something else. And iridium and osmium are so chemically similar, as especially as like high level noble metals, that they couldn't even separate those two for a long time. They didn't know there was a difference between those.
Indeed, and one of the ways that in fact, the way that I understand that it was found was a chemist was breaking down these metals, and he was left with osmium. So he put it in an acidic acid like aqua regia, and he couldn't get these other things to break down, and that's actually how we came to the findings of osmium was by trying to break down the metal, and they couldn't. This is one of these cool factors with osmium. Once it gets into its crystalline form, it is the most inert thing that we know. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how they found it. They were trying to break down metals, and they just couldn't break this certain metal down, and that was osmium. So, and
Yeah.
like Space Miner says, there was another, and it was iridium,
Iridium.
osmium, and iridium. So, and that was in the 1800s that was discovered. And then it went into light bulbs for a while as a filament, and then they used to take their light bulbs once they were burnt out and return them for a refund because of the high value of the osmium in the light bulbs. So there's a little piece of interesting information. But then later on now, of course, we are to this stage where we are watching this video of the Osmium Institute Germany, and we're going to go ahead and continue that now.
And the first pieces of jewelry. And well, yes, of course, we do have some music here because we all love to have a party together with our customers and our friends. So then here, this is the more expensive jewelry, and this is our masterpiece where Scarlett started to have the very, very first one, and I think we're gonna never sell that because we're just not allowed to do so. I think she's gonna doesn't make that happen, right? So these.
And me and Space Miner got to see that beautiful necklace here in Denver at the Osmium Symposium. It is remarkable to see that stuff in hand.
Pieces that we get all over the world. So it's sent to us, and we had a lot of pieces here when we opened up this shop. People were here from 40 countries. And so now, in the evening, we'll just take some of the things out of the vitrines. Like, for example, here are the most expensive watches, now in the safe. But on this hand side, you can see, for example, what.
So I want to pause it there. So he was showing where they display some of their watches. They had them in the safe at the moment when this video was being made. But there have been some amazingly beautiful watches made with osmium. insets in them. In fact, Ian at Arc SGO wears a watch that is beautiful, and it has osmium in it. And Space Miner has seen some of these too. Is there anything you would like to comment about that?
Yeah, we have two osmium watches in the States. Sunshine Elements here, and he has one of the watches. He has one of the osmium watches as well. And in fact, I just for fun upgraded one of my a bull of a A15, and I put osmium into the crowns. So whenever you're turning the crowns, it sparkles and stuff. It's just such a great metal to work with. It's primo for watches.
It is primo for watching. And any other art idea that you have is kind of like I was mentioning before. I mean, that just really truly brings up so many, amazing opportunities. Like I got to wear the osmium headphones, which was, a highlight for me of my life.
Oh, those were cool.
Those were amazing. So any ideas that pop into your head, like that, make a good fit for this metal, well, get to work on it and get it done. Because I mean, Space Miner himself, like he's already done a little bit of work with watches and osmium, and I think is maybe even doing more in the future. Perhaps I'm not sure about that, but he can comment.
Yeah, I'm working on it. It's tough here in the States. We don't have a lot of watch production come out of the States anymore, and a lot of it is brought in from overseas. And so it looks like another project I'm just gonna have to take on myself again. So
Cool.
looks
Yeah.
like it's tool shopping time, I guess.
Indeed. Yeah. So lots of possibilities.
Will be in the safe later. And this is the two award-winning pieces, for example. We'll have them here too. But another part is we're getting more private and private now. This one here is what we call the lounge. And it is named after one of our partners in the company, which is Flow, and it's called Flounge now. Okay, so this is the darker part where we really have the options to show osmium to high-level customers. And on the other hand, here we have the direct opposite, because this is, for example, very, very funny. This is the Osmium Eyes collection. So little animals built of stone with osmium eyes. And here you can see other materials like horn or stone where we work with osmium too.
So that was a bunch of little rock carvings, and they all had osmium eyes. I think they called it the Osmium Eye Collection. I can't remember, but those, and then next to it, they had a bunch of bones inset with osmium. So unique ideas that and there's a lot more of these to be had, I guess, is kind of what I'm pointing out. Like I was watching, I didn't actually get to watch it, but seen some previews on jade, and I know jade is very popular in turquoise. What's that turquoise rock called?
Turquoise.
Is it called just turquoise? Okay. And so I think there's lots of possibilities there for anyone who would be interested in getting into it.
I want to make one thing really clear that I've learned working with osmium, because I've done jewelry, I've done watches, and I've done silver rounds. And it is just remarkably simple to work with. And what it produces is just so much more intricate, active, and complicated than any diamond setting, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I know a lot of people really love their diamonds, but but your work you got to put in to setting a diamond into something is a lot of work, and it's very, very detail oriented work, where setting a piece of osmium can be performed quite easily, making for very fast and simple work. It's easy to incorporate it into designs. And one of the cool things about it is you don't get look, you got a lot of different cuts with diamonds, but when you're talking about cuts with osmium, it means a whole different thing. We can literally cut you a dinosaur. We can cut you a goat, a dinosaur, a frog, a dog, and with diamond, you'll get
A
you
diamond.
know a diamond. Yeah, and you'd have to know what you're looking at to know the difference in the cut. And it's not the same thing with osmium. Like that necklace that you were pointing out, you know, it's got a very long and smooth motion to those cuts. Okay. And that can be a really difficult thing to do with a lot of materials anyways. And so the fact that you could take some very unique shape and match your, I'm going to say jeweling for the moment, but to match your jeweling to that could be incredibly difficult and expensive and time consuming. Like, think about taking that same necklace and then trying to load it with as many diamonds as you could, tiny little micro
Right.
diamonds, as
Right.
many as you could. By the time you loaded it, they would lose their effect. I mean, you're
A
it's just
ton of work, and you're not even going to get as nice of a result.
right. I mean, we are talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of reflecting points in that necklace. Thousands and thousands of reflecting points. Thousands, dude,
Yep.
of reflecting points in that necklace alone. To achieve that with a diamond or a jewel or anything for that matter, it is going to be incredibly difficult. So you get a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to jewelry application.
Yeah, and another thing about diamonds and osmium, and I not necessarily trying to be hard on diamonds. A lot of jewelers will put diamonds and osmium in the same piece, so it's not necessarily that they're competing with each other. It's just that I would like to point out that with diamonds you have the different grades, right? Like people who know diamonds well might take out a jeweler's loop and real close, and they say, "Oh, that's a carat, half a carat, or 1 carat. Or the purity in this is really high," and so they're not all the same grade for one thing. And then on the other side of that, however many naturally occurring diamonds there are, and they seem to just still keep being found, and there is actually becoming a lot of them on the market. And also we are now making them in a lab because their elemental starting point is carbon, right? And carbon is one of the most abundant things on earth, so you literally can make a never-ending amount of lab grade diamonds, whereas osmium is the rarest element known to man, and there is not going to be a lot of it out there. And then you take the rarest element known to man and you put it in the rarest form of that rarest element, and it's this beautiful sparkling osmium. It really stands out. And like Space Miner was saying, even with more sparkle points, higher reflectivity, it doesn't refract, it reflects, so there's no loss there in light reflection. And a truly remarkable product with a rarity that's just kind of unfathomable.
Right. Completely agreed. And look, maybe you're not an artist, but you recognize the qualities of good art, right? You don't have to get all these pre-cut shapes. You could get a larger disc or something for a more reasonable cost, and
Yep.
you could save it for later and wait for the right artist to stumble by, you know.
Yeah,
And
that
some
was actually one of the first thoughts I had when I came across of it, and they were talking about different ideas for it. I'm like, well, I'm just going to get into it for the investment of it, and worry about putting it into jewelry later. Actually, the first piece I got was for my wife and jewelry, but I had the mindset right away of, well, I want to invest in it just as a piece, and then I can figure out the jewelry or art aspect of it later. But yeah,
yeah,
continue there.
No, that's really is the point, that you don't always have to be the guy using the product. Like people get stuck in this mindset of like, well, what am I going to do with it? It's like, well, what do you do with your gold and your silver and your platinum? You
Right.
lock it in a safe and you see it once a month.
Right.
Like if that for some people.
And yeah, this is something that is so beautiful. Like I put it now, I made another piece for my wife, so I've got a couple pieces, and that I made her a new piece with a bee and a flower and the osmium in the center.
Yeah, that was a great piece, by the way.
It has osmium nectar. Maybe I'll show that a little bit later. But she wore that around for a few weeks, and just it's a beautiful piece, and it's something that your wife will want to wear out. It's whereas and you see gold in pendants, a gold coin, and that's cool and everything too. But this is an investment that just putting it into a piece of jewelry and wearing it sets you apart from most everyone in the States right now. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, if you're wearing osmium jewelry right now in the States, you're one in millions.
Yep. And although that's going to decline a little bit in the future, because it's starting to sell over here, but there's just not enough to go around. So anyone who does get into it, you are going to have something unique that many people just won't ever have. So
yeah, you'll be in a very elite category of tangible ownership.
Yep.
So very cool.
All right, here we go. We'll go a little bit further here.
And this one here, I guess here it becomes very, very private, but just to give you an idea, this over there, maybe you have seen it through the glass door, this is our pizza oven. And here we're gonna make some parties with our friends, and we can make 8 pizzas at a time. Well, this is as spectacular as osmium is, believe me. So now, please follow me again. And we're just going, this is our counter. Here we're gonna make our presentations, and we have guests. And here it becomes private again, because I guess this is the toilet section. All right. So even those very important things we do have in the institute. Now follow me to the laboratory, please. We just leave the room and we go over here. And as you see, we're close by to being finished with the institute.
So notice he's showing there's still some construction being done on the institute there. This is I was looking for, there's a video clip of showing the ground being cut for the building to go in. This was a big building and project. It actually is quite beautiful now that it's mostly finished. So, for those of what we're speaking on a scam, you don't run a scam by building these very nice institutes where people can come and visit and ask their questions and see displays. And
it's done now too, by the way.
Yep.
And they do vaulting there as well.
Indeed. Yep.
For many precious metals, really low vaulting storage fees. So
very cool.
If I was in Europe and I cared about vaulting, that it would be a really good option, just so you know.
Indeed. Very cool.
Not more things to done than that. And this is the room that we really love, because here the drivers can pick up the osmium and take it for their deliveries, right? And what we do now is we go into laboratory. This is beam scanning, so I'll have to do it, and then we can go into this room. So follow me now here. It is, as we started it, this is the laboratory, and here in the dark area, you can see the microscopes with which we do the certification. Just have a look in, and I keep that closed because we don't want to have dust in this. On the other hand, over here, this is my desk for today. I think I should clean up here, but there was so much work in the last month you cannot imagine. But now we're up and running, and what I really love, and I'm going to show you that, is this little baby here, because this is the EA300, where we do the analysis for the ingredients of the materials that we receive, and where we check our osmium 2, for example. Right? And this is the area where our our employees work, and over there we'll have the parts with our safes, and we have the accounting right here on the right-hand side. And this is maybe an important part too, because what you can see here, this is the security thing, because we just want to know at any moment in time what happens in the institute. So yeah, just to give you an idea, and to give you the option to see us. Well, so it's an invitation. Whenever you like to, just come over, see the institute, come to us, and just sit us together with us, and let us talk about osmium. So this is the place you're going to find me, and here we can talk about osmium.
So yeah, I thought that would be just a little interesting clip to show. Like he says, there's an open invite, you know. Go over to the Osmium Institute and ask them your questions, you know. Go check them out. It's you know, a very cool looking place, and lots of high-tech equipment, and not something that's just a fly-by-night thing. This is a dedicated institute, that's going to be there. And any questions you have, you can go travel there and ask them all your questions in person if you like. So,
Man, those laser microscopes that he was showing that he lifted the hood on,
yeah,
just for a second, he just breezed right by it because,
right,
like him, it's his everyday work. But I'm looking at that and I'm going, dude, that is the top of the line laser measurement analyzing microscope. Like it's such a heart and soul to the company, that technology, and it's
yeah,
the top of the line technology.
yeah,
It the top of the line tech. That little microscope, it looked, it was, dude, that thing is expensive.
right.
Like, we can start there. You're trying to scan somebody, like, dude, there are so many better ways than buying top of the line laser microscopes.
Yeah, and
that was a beautiful piece of equipment. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
yeah, and that just for the finished product verification, tracking, tracing, being able to check that things line up and everything. And they also have, testing before they send it off to Switzerland. So it's not like, that's all that there is there. There's a lot of high tech equipment there, a lot of brilliant minds behind this, aside even from the lab where it's produced, right, and the chemists that are there. So
no, that's a big, that was a big facility, man. I hadn't seen it inside yet, and dude, that was a big, gorgeous, and it's done now. They say it's done now. And like I said, they've even got it. You heard him mention the vaults, and dude, like, it's a big building with a lot of expensive equipment. I mean, a vault alone, like, when we're talking about vaulting services, the type of money that goes into a safe like that alone, a vault,
right.
That's, dude, that's money into your construction. You see, like, there's things that go into the construction that they don't even, that aren't even really mentioned out loud in the construction world, because it's part of the security of it, but the point is like, you don't build a building for vaulting, if you're trying to scam everybody, dang it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too, no,
Yeah.
but it just lends to the credibility, that,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I found that video searching for. I know there's a video out there that shows them breaking the ground and all of the pallets stacked up with the building materials, and him kind of walking through the construction part of it before it was to this point, which is finished, that we just got to see and beautiful. So, and that was going to be my point, was like, why are they going to the trouble of building this if it's a scam? I mean, so ridiculous, right? So
yeah, it's just like, the fact that we entertain it is for our humor alone.
exactly. Indeed. At this point, for sure. Let alone, I'm not going to get into some of the other things that were said that were highly discreditory from the person that this was coming from. So we'll leave that aside. But so to continue on, I want to jump over to this next page. Let's see here. Sunshine Element says, just one fact, crystalline. Let me pop this up here. Crystalline osmium is the safest way to store wealth. Reminder, there will be only 5 million grams, 500 kilogram, ever be available in crystalline form, which is absolutely unforgeable forever. Indeed, indeed. We're going to jump over here to this website and go over some of these highlights of these points, just the basics of osmium that I'm sure we've probably covered before, but just kind of to run through them with some visuals so that everyone can see it. I just
got thinking about the math on that. How do you remember how many grams that single disc was at the Denver symposium? It was like 87 grams, something like that.
Was it really? My goodness. Woo.
Yeah. Well, think about what Sunshine just reported, and you think about these discs. When a person buys a disc, what percentage of that was just taken? 5 million sounds like a lot until you're packing it away.
Right. No, I was thinking about that earlier today, and it's just being introduced into the U.S. Like, it had its debut starting out in the European area. And now it's making it over here to China, a few of these other places. And exactly to your point, like every piece that goes out to someone actually is a fairly big percentage of the overall availability.
There's a lot of people that own a gram or more right now that I can think of off the top of my head.
Right, just through us, right?
Yeah, just around us.
Right. Yep.
Now we're not just talking 1 gram for every person. I know it's easy to wash it away, but look, we've already consumed a portion of that, and we're just still introducing it. We're still in introductory stages.
Right. That's what I don't think people quite grasp or realize the chance that stands before them, the opportunity that is presenting itself. And like we were talking with the art earlier, and some of those original pieces that he was showing behind the glass there, like the carved animals. Like, I'm not big into figurines personally, but like the idea behind that, I can definitely see. I mean, unique rocks, carve a whole bunch of animals of unique rock and give them all osmium eyes. And there is nothing that is going to catch your eye like an osmium eye. I mean, no matter where you're at in the room, if there's any light in there, it's going to be reflecting off of those eyes and catching your eye, right? Like, talk about an eye catcher, pun intended.
Yeah, I'd really like to see it more in the sporting world because it's, they're outside in the sun all the time.
Right. That's a good point too. Yeah. But, like, it'd be an expensive bullseye, but you would be able to see it from a long ways away.
Fair enough, right? But no, man, there really is. Well, it's the same premise. It's part of why gold's valuable, right? There's only so much to go around, and we talk about it all the time. Because there's a lot more gold on Earth than there is osmium. I mean, we're talking about something that could fit, under the average office desk versus something that would consume monuments, a block of gold that would consume monuments, right?
Yeah, and go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, not so sure where I was going with this anymore. Go ahead.
So I wanted just to touch on the noble aspect of it. Like, one thing I think people don't really give enough credit to is, like, when you're talking about gold and what makes it valuable. And look, when you go I'm watching stuff on ancient coins quite a bit because I like ancient coins, and they'll pull up a hoard of coins that'll be buried in the dirt, and the all of the other product like that is around that will just be completely eaten up and consumed. The pottery is all generally broken. The wood is disintegrated. The leather's been eaten up. The hair is mostly, a lot of the stuff gets degraded just greatly. But then there will be a gold coin, and I mean, it looks pristine like the day it was minted. And it baffles the mind. Or crowns of gold, or like, and whatever you set into gold, unless it gets melted down, it will be preserved basically in that exact shiny, beautiful form for generation after generation for thousands of years. And not a lot of things can do that. In fact, that's one place where gold has the edge on silver. Not that silver isn't noble, it is to a high degree, but it does have, it tones what some people would call corrosion. It tones. So there is some degradability to that, but this metal osmium is not going to degrade in any way. So like we were saying earlier, you can drop it in literal aqua regia, or the hardest acid that you can think of, or the most base alkaline that you can think of, and it's going to turn out perfect.
You just clean it, man.
Say again?
I said you're more likely to just have cleaned it,
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna clean all the dirt off of all the impurities off of it that have fallen onto it, but the metal itself is gonna be pristine. So okay, so I want to walk through some of these. These are just basics about osmium that if you're interested in, you should know. This makes it one of the most unique, awesome materials known to man. So, let me start over here at the beginning. I got off all wrong there. So, okay, to start off, facts. Osmium is extremely rare. It is the rarest metal and precious metal on Earth. In fact, I think it is the rarest element known. Am I right on that?
Not exactly. There's
stable element.
Stable. There it is. It's the stable non-radioactive would be.
So I need the stable element.
The rarest stable non-radioactive element known to man. And it's even more rare than some of your radioactives, and it's
right. But that's a whole nother level of
but we're really talking about some of these elements like we've witnessed in moments of science, and it existed for 0.003 of a second, it's like
right.
Right. So but when we're talking about something you're going to hold in your hands, dude, you will never, ever, ever hold anything like a natural element more rare than this in your hands. You won't. I mean,
and you don't. And the coolest thing about it is not only is it the rarest stable element known to man, it is like like we were saying, it can't be destroyed. I mean, you don't need to worry about,
it's the densest for starters.
Right, like
it's the densest. It's the most abrasion resistant. It's we could start with that. I mean, we're about to get into this.
Yep. So yeah, let's just keep walking into it. So then the next fact here: osmium is especially valuable. Its value per ounce exceeds the value of other metals many times over.
Right. It does have extreme value density. It does.
Yes. And again, osmium is more precious than gold. Osmium can't even be dissolved in aqua regia, and osmium can't tarnish. So again, just like we were speaking to earlier, this is something that you can hand down to your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' 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 kids. I mean, it just won't go away as long as you keep possession of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, listen, buddy, if that ain't sparkling, it ain't toning, it's dirty.
Right. Yeah. And don't worry about, what element you're going to clean it with, because it can't be destroyed or hurt or,
Yeah.
Osmium, the next one, osmium is exceptionally pure, at least in this crystalline form, we should say. Crystalline osmium with a purity of 99.9995% purity. It beats all other precious metals in
And just
purity.
for the record, that little 5 at the end, when they put it in the form of a 5, it means they'd like to include it as another 9, but there's still enough accumulative particulate that they just call it a 5. You see, they'll say 7 or 5 or something, and it's just because, like, this is the only place that they're willing to take their last stand. This is their hill to die on right here.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Which is incredibly pure. Like you were talking to me earlier, like not only like 3 9s fine silver, right? Like we get impressed with, it's 4 9s fine. Well, this is that next 9 in purity, and a 9 and a 5 on it, like, is just a purity rate that's kind of beyond, comprehension, really.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like earthquakes. A 2 is going to be 10 times more powerful than a 1, and a 3 will be 10 times more powerful than that. So we're talking now, what is that, 1,000 times more powerful? Wow. by the third earthquake, right? Or 10. No, it's 10 and then another 100,000 times. Yeah. So
it's
these aren't little bits. These are huge, immense gaps. Like, dude, the amount of effort to go from a 4 to a 5. I mean, just to go from a 3 to a 4 is pretty dang impressive, right? From a 3 to a 4 is pure. Like,
right.
That's pure.
Right. Well, 99%, right? I mean, that's pretty pure,
Yeah. But this, I mean, we're millions.
Right.
Millions. One, parts per millions. That's nothing.
And I don't know a lot about the process, but I do know that if it is not pure enough, you can't get it into a evenly crystalline material like we're working with.
Yeah, that uniform surface.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. That uniform surface can only happen if you are reaching these purity levels. So when you receive a piece, that looks like this and comes in a sparkle grade 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, to get that uniformity, you're working with this purity. So it's kind of cool to know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, and the last on this row is osmium will outlast the earth. Osmium can be rightfully called the eternal metal. So, however you want to view that.
It could literally survive touching the surface of the sun. Think about that.
According to what temperature they say the sun is, yes. I don't know that I believe all these things, but
according to modern,
yes,
modern popular science, that if the sun is as hot as they say it is, which I don't really see how you can, I don't know. I'm not going to go there right now.
Right.
But if you think the sun is freaking hot, fine. Throw this at it. It could probably touch the sun.
That is crazy.
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah.
So there's just so that that's what I keep tripping over every time I'm talking about this, is like the amount of boxes this checks off in uniqueness and amazingness and rarity and long lastability and purity, and it just keeps going and going. I mean, it's just one of the coolest things that you'll ever have a chance to put your hands on, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a fascinating metal.
Fascinating metal. There you go. You're my dictionary for today, bud. Thank you.
Thesaurus.
All right, up next in our next category, physics. Okay, so here they're showing. Okay, what are they showing? Wasser? Is that supposed to be water? What's Wasser?
Water.
Okay,
Yeah,
water.
that's Wasser. I
Wasser?
can't pronounce it well. Wasser. Wasser.
Huh.
I don't know.
So, what are they saying? Osmium is the densest density. Okay. Osmium is the densest element with
Yes.
22,61 grams per centimeter squared. Am I reading that right? Let me know if I read that wrong. It has the highest density of all elements. So again, not only is it the rarest stable element known to man, it is the most dense element.
Yeah, mind you, that's over twice the density of silver, just to kind of give you an idea. And it's a firm bit ahead of gold and tungsten. You see what I mean? A firm bit ahead of them.
So this little chart here is showing you 22. What is that saying, Space Miner? 22,61 liters. What is it? 22 and a half liters, basically, of water equals the density of 1 liter of osmium. Is that what they're getting at?
Yeah, I think that's what they're expressing there.
Okay.
And that would sound pretty close. I mean, water's freaking heavy.
Water is heavy. Imagine that, 22 and a half liters to 1 liter. Like, that's quite a bit of density difference right there.
Yeah, imagine putting going and buying 1 liter bottles of water, putting them in a grocery bag, 22 of those, and over half, put it in a grocery bag and pick it up and put it in your pickup. Now grab one of those bottles
Right?
and experience that.
Right.
That's a fun thought, man.
Right. Imagine 22 liters of osmium. How much water would that be? That would be, you might could do the math there, but that would be like you'd weight your pickup down with 22 liters of osmium.
Yeah. And that's nothing, dude. That's like a small case. That's like a Sam's Club membership,
All right. And then next, osmium is durable. Its abrasion resistance exceeds that of all materials we know. So there's another one right there. The most abrasion resistant.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with its like compressibility and shearing and rigidness. It's just rigid enough and hard enough to get past most things. Maybe not a diamond, right? But you're still going to crush a diamond with that file. You'll still scrape a diamond away with that file because you'll break it and shear it and fracture it and crack it. Like that thing would win against a diamond, just for the record. But it's not quite as hard as a diamond. But it's hard enough to get past most things, and it's rigid enough, because it's really hard. It's rigid enough to resist like shearing forces, other forces shearing it,
Right.
Plus its compressibility. So you'd have to compress it enough to start getting into the shearing forces.
Right. So they have here, for those that can't see the screen, they're showing osmium on basically like a stick for filing your nails down. So like a nail file is their example here, and they're saying that it's more abrasion resistant than anything else we know, including diamonds. So it's more abrasion resistant than diamonds.
Right, because a diamond breaks and fractures and cracks and shears under force, right?
Yes. I mean, I'm in school here as far. I mean, these things.
No, just think about it. Like, you go to like push it up against the ground, and eventually a piece is going to chip away.
Right. Right.
And then you think about like that fall resistance, that compression instant compression, it doesn't have it has a lot of compression resistance, don't get me wrong, but eventually it's going to break more like a glass because it's harder. You see, where this can resist that effect, that pressure effect, the thing that would make it want to chip.
Okay.
You see, so
Sure.
all right, never mind. But yeah, it's
no. I mean,
this would make a great tunnel digger. If you could ever build like a giant tunnel digger with this on the face, dude, you'd never stop. You'd never wear out heads.
right.
Ever.
Like they have those big mining drilling heads and that wear out over time. So like if you put osmium on there, and then again, that's what people are asking. Well, where is it used in? Well, right now its price, makes it unuseful for lots of industry applications. But when you get to a point where it's needed enough, like some of these bearings and some of these ships that they use it in right now, because they kept having to replace the bearings in these ships all the time, and it was taking up time and blah blah blah. So they actually decided to try alloying it with osmium, and that bearing hasn't wore out yet. So like they use it in those now. So there will be applications here and there, and we're probably going to go over some stuff here today that will show some other applications that it may be used for. But you really have to get into that where it is really that valuable to use it there, because it has such a high value already.
Yep.
Okay, up next it says, we're still on the physics tab. Osmium is not compressible. No material on Earth can withstand more compression, meaning pressure on its structure.
Yep. In fact, a Chinese company just recently blew up one of their sintering machines, trying to compress osmium.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah, it happened. I mean, it's not exactly big word, but
wow.
it did happen. There's only a few places in the world with machines capable of compressing it correctly.
That's crazy. Yeah, I was gonna say something, now I forgot.
Pardon.
No, not your fault.
No, dude, compressibility is like one of the coolest parts of this to me. It's compression resistant nature. Just because it's already this tightly bound up compressed little atom, and then you put a bunch of those tightly compressed little atoms that can live real close to each other. And we're talking about, because like the weight thing the other day, it's not the heaviest atom. It's not the heaviest atom. It's just the densest, you see. And there's other atoms, but you can only put them so close together, you see. And
so there's heavier atoms. So this is the densest, but it's not the heaviest. At the molecular level here, what are we talking here?
right. So like gold, which is 79 or something, is actually a heavier. It's protons and neutrons. It's a measurement of its protons and neutrons.
Is that the atomic weight that you were talking with
Yes.
Tiger?
Yes. So it's not
atomic. Does that mean, what does atomic mean? Atom level?
atom. Yeah, the atom level.
Okay.
When you're looking at the atom is the full scale.
Okay.
And now you need to break apart the atom and discern what's inside. You start measuring protons and neutrons, and this is how we get our weights, because the electron doesn't. I mean, technically, I guess it would weigh something, but we know very little about the electron at the end of the day, and we really don't have. It's not a meaningful weight, so we don't necessarily include the weight of the electron, but we do track its orbitals about where we find electrons. And that's one of the signature ways of discerning what the atom is. You see,
Wow.
so the weight has to do with its nucleus, and the signature of it has to do with its electrons and its orbitals, about where we see electrons. So
it's orbitals, things around it that you can't really see, but that are there. Like, is that what I mean? I'm trying to
yeah,
wrap my mind
yeah,
around.
it's power, man. It's energy. It's
Wow.
so it's your plus and your minus,
Yeah.
your positive and your negative, and your
Yeah.
neutral.
Yeah.
See, and
Yeah.
so and these are kind of like the composure of your basic atom, and
Yeah.
so your electrons live in different positions or states or shells, as they could be called, or orbitals, shells. I'm just using language really loosely right now to
No.
kind of like
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
get all the kind of throw some keywords in here, okay, right? Well,
And so it can't leave that area because of the pull of the element and the electrons around it. I mean, and it's kind of held there, even though it's outside of it and you can't see it. Am I kind of getting that right?
kind of, yeah. Like if you want to think about like, you know, a carnival ride or something, you can only pack so many riders into the center, right? Like of this structure. Imagine a large disc and it's spinning. Those little swings, those chairs on chains, you know,
Yeah.
and they're all kind of spinning,
Yeah.
So well, you can only fit so many riders in the inner ring. So now you get riders on the outer ring. Start
Mhm.
getting riders on the outer ring. But if they get a lot of energy, they move to a ring beyond them.
I see.
You see?
Got you.
And so a lot of how an atom is identified is based on where the riders are on this ride, you know?
Wow.
And so depending on like the weight of the nucleus or the energy that because some shells want to receive energy and others want to give energy and others want to keep energy, you see. And so it's this balance, this whole game of balancing of energy and where this electron lives in its upper orbitals, lower orbitals, upper shells or outer shells, inner shells, right?
Okay.
And so that will affect how it interacts with other atoms, also about how they want to give, take, receive, bind, bond, whatever. Like more goes into this than I'll ever know.
All right. All right.
So
Yeah.
but that's the idea. So when you start talking about catalytic metals and stuff like osmium, this is where these things become like really hyper important, because when you're talking about it, speeding up reactions and stuff. Well, this is where that's happening, is in these electron shells and stuff.
Okay.
And this is how you get like isotopic transitions, different isotopes, based on how much energy could be in them at one moment of time. And you'll have different isotopes of metal. Like everybody tracks uranium, well, which isotope of uranium are you tracking?
I see.
So
Okay.
never mind. I'm going down a
No,
rabbit trail. I
that's
think
no,
we
yeah,
can trace
that's
back.
all good. I got a lot to learn there, so it's all good. Okay, next up on the physics slide, osmium shields radiation. Osmium is the perfect shield against gamma radiation. So that's interesting. Must be its density that doesn't can't penetrate. Would be my
Right.
guess, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's the primary factor, the primary one. But again, now we're getting into those, the characteristics of any of our elements. So how
Okay.
they're
Up next on here, this one is kind of very cool, I think, and this leads into some of those fields that might be of value in and worthwhile. Osmium conducts. At extremely low temperatures, osmium loses its resistance and becomes a superconductor, which I find very cool and very useful and possible applications worthy of its value.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, you don't need a lot to serve the purpose, but if the purpose is being served everywhere, we start getting to look at consumption. So maybe in the future, man, this will be really valuable.
Right. I see that being a definite possibility. Okay, up next we have another tab, and it's called Path. The Path. Okay, so under Path we have osmium occurs with platinum. Yes, it's a platinum byproduct. In platinum mines, osmium sponge can be extracted from the platinum ore. Indeed, and platinum in itself is a very small, well, I'm going to use the word market cap because it's what's coming to mind, but platinum is a very small market cap as opposed to the market cap in silver and gold. And silver is much smaller than gold, but platinum is like a whole nother 10 levels down from silver. And then a whole nother, even probably 100 levels down from platinum is osmium. And then, even further down from osmium is crystalline osmium, which is what we're talking about today. So, rare. And okay, next in that line is osmium is crystallized. As soon as osmium is crystallized, the crystal structure changes and it is no longer toxic. So this is a big point that a lot of some of their first questions, because most people, the little that they know, they've heard that osmium is toxic. And osmium is toxic in its natural form when you grind all these ores up and separate it out, that the osmium powder, osmium known as osmium sponge, kind of looks like a powder at that point. If exposed to oxygen, will create osmium tetroxide, I believe it's called, which is poisonous if inhaled. And so that is the toxicity side of osmium. But once it is put into this crystalline structure, it is the most inert substance known to man. So this is the last thing furthest from toxic that you can think of once in its crystallized form.
Right.
Any comments there before we move on?
Yeah, there are studies available, and there independent studies have been put out there testing the validity of these statements, and have shown that osmium is completely biosafe. Crystallized osmium, or osmium in general, can be used completely in a way completely biosafe, for like medical purposes and whatnot.
Which it is used in medical purposes, but continue on.
Yeah, it already is used in a variety of medical purposes, but yeah, it's in the crystalline form. I mean, it is completely safe. You'd have to hit it with a blowtorch to make it dangerous. Go through a house fire, and even then, it's only going to be for a moment with this crystal. Like, you hit it with a blowtorch, by the time you smell it, you're going to be done smelling it. You see what I mean? Because it's going to provide a protective layer to itself in that moment. So basically, your blowtorch is still going to lose. It's just going to heat it up, and at some point, it'll have a protective layer, and that's it. So, although it is definitely unsafe, you don't want to expose yourself to it by any means. Even then, as toxicity exposures go, like in a house fire, right? Osmium, it'll go poof, and that's it. It'll have one flash over moment, and then the gas is going to disperse, dissipate, break down, bond with other things around it. Like, everything going on, that's the dude. If osmium gets hot enough for you to worry about, you probably got way
Bigger
worse.
problems to work. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So
Indeed. Okay, next slide. Osmium is cut. The wire EDM process makes it possible to cut osmium into just about any shape. And EDM there is standing for electrical discharge something.
electrical discharge machine. I mean,
Something like that, yeah.
it's a machine. Yeah. But it's a decomposition, like an electro decomposition of a sort. It's like an anode cathode kind of a thing, getting it to jump from one side to the other. So,
and not quite. Osmium is certified. Every osmium piece is certified and entered into the Osmium World Database.
private secure server.
Yes. So again, that's one of the Osmium Institute Germany's processes or purposes, is to, once they realize it's pure enough, they can send it off to the lab in another country, Switzerland, and then once it gets sent back from that lab, they again process it, photograph it, put it under their high-end machinery, and once they have photographed it, documented it, they put an OIC on it, document it, and enter it into their database, which is a bunch of servers. And again, and then once it's attached to an OIC, that gives it notoriety to the customs of each country that it goes into. So part of their process. And last on this tab is osmium in trade. Osmium is made available for trade after certification. So again, they certify it, photograph it, enter it into their database, and then it is good to go through customs of whatever country and made available to trade officially. And up next, for the next tab, we have products. Osmium in manufacturing. Defined inlays are also manufactured in series for manufacturers. Oops, I got that back. I got to start at the beginning. Osmium in bars. Osmium bars are sold without processing surcharge, as well as hexagons have also been entered into that category of no cut cost added on top. So again, that's something that we point out here, and that's what I worked with the Institute on, the hexagons, to get them available for people to enter into it at the lowest price possible with no cut cost added on. And so that's kind of handy if you're getting into it for the purpose of stacking weight or investment. You're gonna want to look for those points. You're gonna want to get it into a big disc in its original form, or a bar, or a hexagon, something that doesn't have a cut cost associated. If you have a unique design or something, you're going to have a cut cost associated with it if it's some unique cut that you want done. So
no, these bars are perfect. They're like a perfect investment level. The bars and the hexagons, mind you, are perfect investment level entries. And I'd say it's worth going for a larger piece if you're going for the investment side of things, because these are pieces that can be cut up later. These, like you were mentioning, they can be cut up later, distributed. Maybe you don't want to give away your full thing. You send it into the institute, you cut it in two, and you get both recertified and sell off half of your piece. You see?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like where this comes in, with these cutting and processing surcharges.
Yeah.
It's because of the product bringing you,
Indeed.
It
Speaking
ain't cheap
of,
to.
sorry,
No.
I was just saying, speaking of large bars, would you like me to pull you up full screen to show something off, or not?
No, we're good. I think we should get
Continue
through
on here.
this and get to the
Okay,
well,
so
yeah.
osmium is divisible. The osmium split bars can be broken into single stars by hand. So these are kind of stars that come with the cutting process. It's an offcut, and they made it into a line. And so you can buy these little stars, and they have such a thin, narrow point in between. You can break them off for whatever purpose, jewelry purpose, or what have you. Osmium in small. Osmium is truly available for every wallet and every taste, and that was one of the things that was brought up by Silver Dragons was, oh well, who would want such a small piece of, well, so that you can get into it, man. It's so expensive. How are you, sure, everybody wants a great big piece, but not everybody can afford a great big piece, right? So they've also made it available into small cuts, much less than 1 gram a piece. In fact, one of my goals is to get a gram piece, but that, again, just looking at the price that we were just looking at the beginning, is over $2,400. That's just base price. So, to get in for a pair of earrings, you can get a beautiful pair of earrings for your wife, and just for a few $100s. So they are making it available for just the smaller investor like me, and I think that's a good thing. Up next, osmium as desired. Almost any shape can be cut from osmium upon request, and they're showing a cut piece of a dolphin. So yeah, if you have some unique piece, you can go through and look at the different shapes that they have cut already and choose from those. Or if you have a unique shape that you would like to have cut, you can put in a special order. Obviously, there will be costs that tie into that, but it definitely can be done. And next on that tab, osmium and manufacturing. Defined inlays are also manufactured in series for manufacture. All right, I'm going to go to the next tab. Is purchase osmium from the internet. Osmium can be purchased online at buyosmium.com. You can go there and purchase it yourself, or you can find your local dealer and cut down on some of the surcharges and shipments and customs and all the different charges that go along with it. So a few different ways to get into it. I recommend finding Space Miner here if you are in New Mexico or Arizona or anywhere in that area, and he can get you what you want in a timely manner at the lowest price possible. Or obviously me in Colorado or the surrounding area. We've got Ian in Idaho or Wyoming. We have Nick and Michael in California and that surrounding area.
And Nevada.
And Nevada. And we have Barry in Texas in the surrounding area. And we have also Arcadia. I don't know. He hasn't done much here in the site, but I believe he will be an option soon in Florida in the surrounding area. So there is that info. And osmium from wholesalers, we discussed that. Osmium from retail, we discussed that. Osmium from private persons. Okay, here's one. Once you purchase your osmium, you can sell it yourself, person to person. And we can get more into that later. Obviously, whenever you buy the piece of osmium, you receive a OCC for your OIC. And the OIC stands for Osmium Identification Code. And the OCC is Osmium
change code.
Change code. So, and the osmium change code is what you get sent if you buy a certain piece of osmium. You will receive you'll be the only person that has that OCC, making you the private owner, and only you know that number. And so then you can sell it to another person to person that you meet on the street. You can show them your piece and they might say, oh, I want to buy that. And you can sell it to them. And then you can transfer them the OCC from your email to their email. And that is the transfer process, but you can definitely sell it person to person. And we will have more available in that area coming soon. I don't want to give all of the information out before it's available, but there will be more coming on that soon. And osmium from banks. Banks and family offices are renowned sources for osmium. Yeah, over there in the Eurozone area, they've sold a lot to family offices and banks, and it's not quite as big over here in the States yet. However, that may change, but it's just a way to store your wealth, transfer your wealth, again, officially. And even the Osmium Institute, as Space Miner was mentioning earlier, has their own vaults. So you can deal with it that way as well if you'd like, if you don't want to hold it, the tangible, in hand. And the next tab is safety. And osmium is unforgeable. This is a big one. Unforgeable. So, you know, like with gold, a big problem with gold is people will start with a piece of tungsten and then melt gold over the tungsten because they are close in weight. And you may not know it unless you drill through the gold exo layer to get to the, whatever metal they're using in place of gold. But with osmium, you cannot do this because it is the most dense element known to man. So you can't find anything of density to get it to the same, dimensions. So you definitely can't get the crystal structure built into it with anything else as well. So there's several different layers to it being unforgeable, but again, it is unforgeable. Anything you'd like to say on that?
Oh, buddy, a million things to say, but yeah, just since you mentioned the core, that's one of the reasons the Institute favored the flat disk as the standard, as a very thin piece, leaving no room for a core. No
Right.
room. There's no room for a core.
Indeed.
And again, any core that you use is just going to increase its volumetric presence, so it's going to be way bigger than it ever should be, so like Tiger, he's a big fan of the gravity, he likes to do the gravity test,
Specific gravity, yeah.
And the moment you put something like that in there, I mean, you're going to destroy your spread between other because remember that mass is significantly and discernibly more, more of a mass than gold, still, like by grams. So you go throwing that into the 1 or 2 gram shy of gold, you only get so many grams to work with if you're a forgery artist, and so you go throwing it off just even a little bit, and it is, well, it's not so distinguishable anymore, and well, that's a falsifier. So
right.
The point is that you can't beat it because of the thinness. That's the core is just not present.
10-4. And on that line of subject, osmium has a fingerprint, and the osmium crystal cannot be reproduced, and it is far safer than a fingerprint. There's thousands of more points of existence in the crystalline structure. Each crystalline structure forms like a snowflake. They're all unique. So once documented and categorized, can't be reproduced, and that fingerprint is a safety feature within itself, which is a great strength in this metal. Comments?
Yeah, 10,000 times more recognition point than your
Fingerprint.
More recognition points than your fingerprint, like per square millimeter or centimeter or something. Which is, we kind of hinted at earlier when we were talking about like diamond replacements, thousands and thousands and thousands of sparkle points of different varying sizes. Come on.
Yep.
Yep. It's an unworldly fingerprint,
Yep. Identify osmium with the naked eye. The bluish reflection of the osmium crystals in sunlight is identifiable with the naked eye. So yeah, once you get used to looking at this and handle some of it, you can tell it just by eye. Let alone getting it under a microscope and getting down to the specifics of the fingerprint as we were discussing.
Hold it up next to silver, immediate verifier of the blue hue.
Right. The blue hue. I'm a lover of the blue hue indeed. And osmium in the World Database. The World Database carries scans of every osmium piece for identification. So you can simply match your piece if for some reason something happens and you don't have a way to identify the piece. You can just send it into the osmium. What is it? Help me out with words. Institute Germany. You can send it into the Osmium Institute Germany, and they will verify it. You can probably even just get a very high resolution picture and send it to them and match it that way. That's been done with pieces as well. So
exactly,
you can identify it that way. And up next in the next tab here, osmium decreases the resource in the market. So osmium decreases the resource in Earth's crust amount to about 9 meters squared, of which about 2 meters squared can be mined. That number is even getting less and less. And next over, it says osmium is non-toxic. In contrast to raw osmium as sponge, crystalline osmium is non-toxic and harmless. We talked about that. Osmium has only one source. The market of crystallized osmium is protected perfectly by an economic and natural monopoly. Yeah, now this is a natural monopoly. We have a World Osmium Council that meets and controls the spot price of it, and it is a natural monopoly, and they have, through their own means, came up with a way to distribute this product that cannot be replicated. Let's just put it that way. Any words as we move on? Just hop in if you want to say something.
I think there's a lot of security in a natural monopoly. It's the same kind of security that Goldback boasts.
Right.
Like, look, you don't know our technology, you don't know our process, you don't have the equipment, you don't have the means, you don't have the relations, you haven't put in the money and the effort. Like, it's going to be a hard thing to reproduce. And that in itself is a security feature.
Indeed.
That's revered by the Goldback.
Indeed. Osmium is not smuggled. Customs authorities can be doubtless identify every piece of osmium through the World Database. So as we talked about a little bit before, when they attach an OIC with it, it also goes through customs, which when customs receives these pieces, they can identify them easily. And we know what we're working with. It's not smuggled. It's handled in a process that basically can't be stolen and resold out from under you. I mean, that's one of the highlights about this thing that is cool and unique. They know, like, even if you're going from country to country through customs, they can identify with whether it's a legit thing that's happening. So it makes it very cool and unique. You know, if someone comes to my house and steals my precious metals and takes some of my osmium and tries to resell it, it's just going to lead the cops back to me, and I'm going to get my stuff back because, you know, they don't have the OCC because they didn't purchase it. They stole it. And so they can't resell it unless they have that OCC. So it's a security to the owner of the osmium.
Right. And with the simple use of the OCC, you could produce at any time a certificate of authenticity and ownership. So,
There you go. Boom. Osmium is subject to a spot price. The price of osmium is recalculated and published every day, and that is by the Osmium World Council. And down to the next tab. Went through all these, and then I got to reorganize them. Okay.
We're doing good. We're doing good, man.
Okay. Customers. Osmium as inheritance. Osmium can be inherited within the family and transferred via the database. So indeed, that will be happening with me. You know, I plan on passing a lot of my precious metals that I purchased to my sons, and osmium will be one of those, and it is easily transferred because I have the OCCs, I have their information, and I can simply transfer it whenever I'm ready. If I needed help with transferring it, you could contact the Institute or one of, you know, someone like me or Space Miner, one of the Institute partners who understands how the process works. It's actually very, very easy once you understand it and walk through it like me and Space Miner have a few times. You can do it yourself with no confusion. It's actually very straightforward and easy.
I'd like to, this is a capital time to mention the fact that, you know, within your registry, when you register this piece to yourself, okay, and you have your identifying information within it, okay, of choice, identifying information of choice, okay, there's actually two categories. There's the ownership and the possessor. And so when you're dealing with a jeweler, as an example, you can list the jeweler as the possessor of the item while maintaining your ownership. And the same for inheritance measures. You like, look, inheritance can become a very careful process. It could be a very careful process because of you know, the vulnerable nature of the deceased, right? And so this is a good way to consider the transfer of value in one of those types of situations when you're considering, how do I ensure the value gets to this person and this person alone? You know, well, that other person's completely locked out in a will. Like, they can be as conniving and snaky and manipulative as they want and gain possession, but they'll never be the owner or the possessor unless they were listed as such.
Right. And as the owner, you can easily go in and enter those bits of information in yourself as to who you want to be the owner or the possessor or the holder or what have you.
Could you imagine fighting a court case like some scummy ant stole your possessions, the passed on worldly possessions of the deceased, right? And could you imagine fighting a court case, how easy that could be? Like, Your Honor, the will is quite clear. In fact, so clear, these pieces are locked up, you know, like, and listed as such by him. He was the last one to do it.
Right.
Which can be produced in record as well.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
No, that was a good thing to mention. I haven't really thought about that before.
And since we're on this, it's a little bit different subject, but it's also a very great way. Like, you know, we have examples where people will be moving from one house to another, going from state to state, and they'll load up their car with their monster boxes of silver and gold, and on the trip over, they get pulled over by a bad cop, a rogue cop, a greedy cop, and they'll do an asset forfeiture and seize whatever the guy has in his car, and there's often not a very easy recourse to reclaim that.
No, he has to prove he owns that and that he
Right.
got it legally.
Right. And even then, it can be tough and lots of court battle. You'd have to have money to fight it. Whereas with this, you can tie up those monster boxes of value easily in one disc of osmium. And if a cop sees that, let alone he won't know what it is, but if he did and tried to, he took it in hand and took it home with him, well, you still have it. He's just been made a thief now because you have the OCC and he doesn't, and therefore he's going to get in trouble for that. So it's a great way to transfer that value even within the states, let alone my main point was going from in the US to out of the US through customs. This is a way to transfer high bits of value and not have to worry about someone else taking it from you. And you can do it in your hand, like just a couple discs. You can houses of value can be held in the palm of your hand and taken from country to country with no worry. So I think that's a very great high point of it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Back to that value density.
Value density and ownership proof. Yep, proof of ownership. Osmium in processing. Jewelers and goldsmiths process osmium into commercial jewelry. Indeed, which can be tracked just the same. Osmium as a store of value. Osmium can be used as a tangible store of value for especially large holdings. All right. I think we are getting close. Let me see how many. Oh man, I gotta run through these. Okay, so
we got this. It'll breeze
codes. Osmium identification code. The osmium identification code, or OIC, is clearly allocated to each piece of osmium. We discussed that. Osmium QR codes. The osmium transparency boxes feature a QR code to help you easily find your own piece on the internet. We discussed that a little earlier. Osmium owner change code. The owner change code is used for transferring possession and ownership. So yeah, like Space Miner was just mentioning, if you would just like to transfer it to a jeweler and he has possession of it for the time that he's putting it into your jewelry piece and you're worried about it, you can just transfer him as the possessor and you still remain the owner. And or you can sell it to him and transfer the code and it's completely out of your control and into his. So there is that. Osmium price feed. Online publications can receive the price and chart of osmium as RSS feed. All right, cool.
Man, I gotta say it. Back to the QR code real quick.
Yep.
This is and the scam resistance, right? It really is that simple. Like you scan that box and you can see the high resolution imagery and that laser 3D representation of every single crystal facet. Like it's at the end of the day, it's really what won me over on osmium was the ability to verify that that's the same piece of metal that the Institute released. It is, in fact, I can look at it in front of me, scan the code, and say, yep, I can look at those pictures and look at that crystal. Look at those pictures, look at the crystal. Every aspect of that, like you said earlier, every aspect of it is right there. It's too easy to validate. It's right there.
Indeed. And the last on the codes tab says Osmium websites. Every Osmium website is SSL encrypted for client safety. Okay, well, I'm not sure what that means, but hackers probably understand that. I would like to point out to Space Miner, as we were discussing this earlier, we can talk about this later, but notice here it says online publications can receive the price and chart of Osmium as RSS feed. So I think that's a good bit of information to know about what we were discussing the other day. And up to the next tab is sale. Osmium private sale. Private persons can also obtain osmium risk-free from private hands. Indeed. Osmium for banks. For tax reasons, institutional investors are interested in buying from private sources. Osmium in manufacturing. Manufacturers will work more and more with osmium over the coming years. Indeed, and that's what I want to point out, guys. In both jewelry and any other art application, this is brand new stuff. So more and more types of art installations or whatever will be having this as an option, and working more with it. So a lot of big
It's a rare opportunity to
rare
form the
opportunity.
future and to form the story and to form the history that's going to be.
Be the history yourself. Exactly. You can make a big niche by uniquely using osmium because it's fresh to the market. Osmium in trade. The intention to sell can be entered into the osmium database and made accessible to traders. More on that coming soon. Osmium in the future. Efforts are underway to also make osmium tradable on exchanges. Indeed, indeed. Okay, now to the next tab. We've got in product. And osmium is beautiful. Osmium is so unimaginably beautiful that lots of osmium finds its destiny in jewelry. Indeed, right? It's just a way of highlighting the product and its beauty and your value on your beautiful wife or what have you.
Look at that blue right next to that little blue gem.
Oh, man. Right? And I remember this is a beautiful, we got to see this piece as well at the Osmium Symposium in Denver here this year earlier, I guess I should say. And a great piece, very abstract, but yet it ties a lot of different elements together and in a beautiful form. So,
and we have a lot of jewelers incentives too that could be always discussed in the future as well.
Right. Indeed.
Very reasonable jewelers incentives, actually.
Yes.
They're amazing.
Yeah. In fact, Scarlett herself, which is right up at the top of the line in rank. I think you have Ingo as the founder, and then Scarlett joined him early on, and she has been making this applicable to jewelry kind of from the get-go. So they're like Space Miner's saying, there's lots of incentives and ways to get involved as a jeweler made easily by the Institute. They want to make it easy for jewelers to get involved.
Yeah.
Osmium is multiple. Jewelry with osmium can also be mass-produced if the design follows it. Osmium is a part. In many pieces of jewelry, osmium is part of the whole, but often marks the center, the highlight. Osmium is with me at home. You can store osmium at home and take it with you if you want to move it. Yes, a tangible investment that you can store with you, take with you, and again, even if it's stolen from you, it can't be resold, so they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot if they do. You won't be able to bring it to market. Osmium is a thing. Osmium is a tangible asset and is subject to sales tax benefits like any such asset. Okay, and close to the last tab, but not quite. Media. Osmium World Council. The association with its honorary staff oversees the work of the institutes. So we got people watching over us and giving us a slap whenever we do something wrong. Osmium on the internet. There are many trustworthy sites on the internet that constantly provide information about osmium. Indeed. Osmium in the media. The press can find information, press releases, and facts at the Osmium Institutes. Osmium in moving pictures. The Osmium TV channel is increasingly being filled with relevant films and interviews. And Osmium Institute. The task of the Osmium Institute is to monitor fake news about osmium. So we had some fake news come out the other day about it being a scam, and you can be sure that they know all about that. And last but not least, training. First contact with osmium. The first contact with osmium is a special moment for a special day. Touch Osmium. Participation in the online seminars is free of charge and only takes 2 hours. Learn about osmium. The best way to learn is in a personal conversation with questions and background knowledge. Trade osmium. Trading precious metals is a profession that is taught through chambers. And teach about osmium. To meet the growing demand for training, a Train the Trainer program has been installed. So indeed, us as Osmium Institute partners do undergo training and etc. All right, so that covers the basis that I thought we should come over and just cover some of those base cases.
Well done.
So with that, what else do you have for us, Space Miner?
Wow, man, we touched we touched on a lot.
We did.
But that being said, although there is a lot behind it, the interface and exchange is really pretty simple.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, it's literally it's the monetary exchange and then a quick recertification, which is literally put in your OIC. It brings up the piece. You hit change possessor owner, and it asks you for your OCC, your osmium change code, and then you put in the information that you want to put in to send to the next person.
Yes.
And then you complete it, and like literally in moments, they'll get an email. The most important part of this process is the email.
Yes.
Like we really need to be able to send an email so that you can receive your new OCC. Because when we input an OCC, that's it. That's it. And it goes to that, it burns our code and sends you a brand new, fresh, randomized code.
Yeah, and that comes from the Institute. So when and we're gonna, even though I have a video up on this of how to transfer the OCC in real time, but me and Space Miner are gonna do a condensed version and lay out the facts and show you on screen what we're doing and make it quick and concise. And a part of that process is if I own a piece and I'm going to transfer it to Space Miner, I put in, okay, the name of the person that I'm transferring the ownership to, Space Miner, and then email spaceminer@gmail.com. And then when I hit to put that information in there, I have to have the OCC myself to access a page where I can transfer the ownership. So I put in the OCC. That brings up a page where I can send it to a new buyer. I put in their name, I put in their email, and when I get their name and email entered in and their number and add anything else they want in, there's a few things that we have to have, like email and name. You can make up your name, you can make up an email, but you have to remember that, because that is the ownership information. That's how you prove ownership of the piece, let alone find your ownership or transfer your ownership.
Yeah, now you get your email, send it wherever you want to send it from there, forward it to your email you like to use, or something. But
right. And so if I'm going to sell it to Space Miner, I put in the OCC, it brings up a page and says, who would you like to transfer the ownership to or send it to, I put in, okay, the new owner is going to be the name, Space Miner, the email, spaceminer@gmail.com. And then when I hit transfer ownership or, complete tab, it burns, like Space Miner says. My OCC gets burned, and I no longer have access to that piece. I lose access to the piece. I don't know what the new ownership code is, but Space Miner will receive a new code, but that code gets sent from the Osmium Institute to his email that I entered into him.
Yeah, it's not from B. It's from the Institute.
Right. So once you sell it and transfer, you lose all access to that piece. You have no control over what the new OCC code is. You'll never know it. You won't have access to it. You didn't input it. It has nothing to do with you. The Osmium Institute takes care of that. So.
Yep, and you're off and on your way. Don't lose your code. If you're worried about it, write it down, put it in the safe or something. I don't know, but that's there are processes for recertifying your piece if you lose your code. It's not the end of the world, but it does involve a little bit of security and participation, and so it can be a real challenge to get that. To get that code back into your hands.
Right. Don't lose it if you can help it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, it's the best way to keep all your transactions discreet, all your trades, transactions, and handovers. Just keep them safe, discreet, and efficient. So.
Yep. Golden Maple, good to see you. 888 the Great, good to see you. You had a question earlier. What was the original price?
Nickel was asking
when it was sold. What does that mean? What do you mean by what was the original price of osmium when it sold? Oh, the very first price was like $500 or something. I'll just bring you over here and share that with you right here. So this is when it first came out in, it says right there at the bottom, in March 27th of 2017, or March 13th, 2017 is about the earliest I can see there. So in March 2017, it came out at the crystalline form was at $567. The sponge was at $283. And then you can follow that chart all the way over to where now we are trading at over 2,400 for crystalline and about 1,200 sponge.
And guys, we're not looking at a chart from the 80s. Let's keep that in mind. We are early, young in this chart.
Very early. We're the first in the U.S. here to be. That's why I'm out here talking this long, boring 2-hour talk, is because this information is just not out there. We're just bringing it. You're right at the edge of the beginning of this. So
yeah, this is a comprehensive review.
And yeah, I got in. Look at this. I got in a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago, and it was at $1,600, and now it's at $24. It's almost went up $1,000 almost since I got in, and that's only a year ago. So, and it's just starting to get around. So imagine as this gains more traction and more areas are selling it, more countries are selling it, then this could just go faster and faster. Right? Space Miner?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And, we got to remember how we're supposed to view these charts in context. We're looking at a very condensed amount of time, like we can put that one in context right there. But if you were to stretch this chart out for the same amount of time as we've been charting our gold, like 80s or something, right? Um, man, if you stretch that out, am I cutting in and out?
A little bit, but you said if you stretch this out, and then I lost you.
If you were to stretch this chart out in time to overlap gold, we're still looking at a very competitive and stable price chart. You
Yes.
see, it wouldn't have suffered quite. Look at the 2020. Through look at 2020 through 21 and
Right.
22.
Right.
Look at that stability.
Yep. Yep.
This is a very clean reading, investment. Like, what if it doesn't explode to the moon? Well, then follow the patterns.
Yeah.
What do you expect to see from this? We're now weathering 2 decades.
Yep. Yeah, and Osmi Sunshine Element says even that the process of transferring ownership is automatically without third person involvement. There is no risk, no matter what may go wrong. The Osmium Institute can fix it for the owner. It's not the person who owns it that is selling it to you. He has nothing to do with the transfer of the new OCC code. It's out of their hands. It comes directly from the Osmium Institute. And if anything goes awry, you can just contact the Osmium Institute, and it will be very forthright. They'll see that TheBee was trying to transfer it to space. I mean, it's not hard for them to figure out what goes awry if something goes awry, which is not really a problem. But per se, it will be easy to get back to where you were. So,
yep. So, yeah, it's such a very clean and safe process, and look, let's just take this to the worst case scenario. EMPs, solar flare, EMP across the world, like, who cares? You still own an identifiable piece of metal, of tangible good that is the rarest in the world. You still own it. It's still identifiable. You could rub a carbon copy over that, and have more security than your gold bars.
Yeah. Golden Maple here, $500 for osmium. Wow. Now how much is osmium selling for? So it started off at $560-ish and is now trading for over 2,400, and it's priced per gram. And then he says, I need to get my hands on some radioactive osmium. So it's not radioactive that I know of or understand. In its sponge form, when it's first mined and they smash all the ore up, and you got some platinum, you got silver, gold, and a bunch of junk in between. They smash all that up, and when they extract the osmium from that substance, you end up with kind of a powdery, they call it a sponge. It looks like a powder. And that powder, if exposed to oxygen, creates osmium tetroxide, which is kind of a gas that can damage your lungs. But you have to have it in its raw form and expose it to oxygen right there in front of you. And if you smell garlic, you don't want to have that smell because you're being exposed to that bad gas. However, once you take it from its sponge form and crystallize it into its crystallized form, you've now taken all that toxicity away, and it's become the most inert element basically known to man. And you won't be able to break it down with any acid or alkaline. You can't. Aqua Regia just is like a bath for it, just cleans it up, and it has a very high melting point. So it's literally kind of the last thing standing. It's the most inert thing we know of once it's in its crystalline form. It has a unique fingerprint that you can't replicate. You can't put something in the core of it to sell as a forgery or whatnot, make money off of it. It's really very, very safe. The most safe, rare, unique element most unique metal, highly valued, non-tarnish. It doesn't tarnish. It's like gold doesn't tarnish. Osmium, crystalline osmium, doesn't tarnish. So even more noble than, like, say, silver, which can tone. So I want some. Golden Apple says, I want some iridium too. I'm fascinated with iridium, but have to go to Cerberus, France, to see the iridium bar that was pivotal in establishing the kilogram as the basic unit of mass. Interesting. I know that osmium, this crystal is 595 pure, is often used in oh man, words are just not my thing today. When you test something, what do you know what I'm looking for here, Space Miner? They
Yeah,
use
whenever you need to like validate and calibrate.
calibrate. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, when you need to calibrate, often like calibrating machinery to make sure that you're reading pure substance and not something else mixed in. They'll calibrate with the osmium because it is so pure. And it's hard to get anything that pure, so it's used as a calibrator in many machines of that substance.
Right. Yeah, iridium's pretty cool, man. If there is something more noble than crystallized osmium, it would be iridium. They are so closely, and you know what? Iridium doesn't form a tetroxide, so it might be just a bit more noble. I don't know. It's crystallized osmium is tough, dude. But yeah, that's why they chose it as a unit of measurement, because it never loses mass. And it's the same principle with your crystallized osmium. So, like, in a way, who cares? You could say just as noble as iridium.
It just may
And
be
that
that
would be
iridium may not crystallize as osmium. I know that that's kind of a thing. Is like when from my understanding, and I'm not the scientist here, but from my understanding, he looked through all the different metals in the crystallining process. He was looking for a certain type of crystallization, and a lot of the metals wouldn't crystallize properly, whereas osmium did. So
That is so true. It really is. It's very unique crystalline structure, which is again just another physical to the eye validator. You can look
yep,
at the crystal structure of it. It's
yep.
completely unique because every metal has a unique crystal structure, or its own crystal structure. So
Yeah, well, 888. That's 888 says so. In 10 years, we are looking at 5,500. Very, very easily. They often discuss what they call the Big Bang, which is when they have crystallized all that they have to crystallize. They speak of the Big Bang, which goes from buying and selling, basically leaving the institute's hands and going into the market. Now, to buy anything, you have to go to the market, and that's when things could really explode in price. Because now there's no more left except what is traded out there on the market. And if you really want to make a necklace with X, Y, and Z, and the only way you can do it is by trading what already exists out there, they're referring to that as the osmium Big Bang. So it could really take off at that point.
yeah, I mean that really is the moment everybody's been kind of, because look, the institute, did something kind of unique with the metal, which is they didn't capture it all to themselves, in the sense that, like, one of their purposes is to get it completely private, to go completely private. Like, I mean, we already are completely private, which is another unique thing. When you want to deal in private metals, osmium's a great one for private metal. you know um it's not like gold and silver traded on the public market, at least not yet. But the point is, and I had a point, I swear. What was my point B?
Well, just getting it to the tradability of person to person and
Oh,
getting it.
yeah, back to the releasing of it as private. Like, really, that's really the moment everybody's waiting for out there. Is we're waiting for the institute to sell out,
Yeah.
to say, all right, that was it. Congratulations, it's fully private, and if you want it, you're gonna have to find it.
Right. And Triple Eight makes a point here. The bigger pieces would be more rare. Well, to that effect, not just bigger pieces. Like I know Triple Eight has said in the past to me, like, "Ooh, that's going to make sparkle grade fives very valuable." Well, yes, but unless you're a watchmaker and you need a sparkle grade one of a certain size, that could be the more valuable, because it does, just because it's a larger crystal structure doesn't mean that that's what you're looking for in your piece. You may want all sparkle grade one in your piece, and therefore, you can't find it, and so sparkle grade one becomes the more valuable piece for that period of time. But yeah, whether you're on the sparkle grade one or the sparkle grade five or the sparkle grade three, wherever you're at, that could literally be like me. I'm putting in sparkle grade threes in my stingers because it's that nice mid range that you get all the effect from. So I'm using a lot. So it could be that sparkle grade three, the mid range, becomes the most valuable because it fits so many applications. So like on any in there, you could end up on top. You really don't know. Like it's each.
Well, and I could see a lower sparkle, like from a more economic sense. I could actually see a lower sparkle becoming a more popular choice, because of the price of the price per area. Like, you get more area for your price,
Right.
and you have a greater variety of sparkle too, of your constellation and your frequency.
It could it could be that could even come down to which piece has the most blue hue. Like I'm kind of after that. I really like the blue hue, and there's a watch that I believe now Barry has ownership of that is the best piece of osmium I have seen. It's the best looking piece of anything. It's my favorite piece of osmium. I got to wear it for my set, my DJ set there at the Osmium Symposium. That was my favorite piece that I've seen so far. When you look at that thing in person, the blue and the iridescence off that thing is just, it's my favorite piece so far, and that was because of the blue hue. And it was a good, I believe it was a 3. It was a good crystal structure as well. But
and that's another very cool thing. No matter which crystal structure you're looking at, it's all this. We say sparkle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's all the same grade. It's not a lesser or greater, or it's not a better or worse. It's just an option.
Yes,
and it's a way for us to value that option.
Indeed. Yeah, and even like you're saying, Gold Maple, even if it wasn't for the precious metal interest or the beauty interest or the jewelry interest, just getting pieces for your periodic table. Like a lot of people like to do that, to get a little piece of all these different elements. Like there's not enough of it to go around, even if you had it on just that scale, let alone adding all these other instruments of use into it.
It wouldn't take a big kick to really take this off the shelf. It really wouldn't, at least from the institute side. Now, once it enters the private market, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it could take a long time to stabilize out there.
Right. And we often talk about here on my channel, like, one billionaire could come into the silver market and just close it down, cover the market cap on it, corner the market on it. Well, that's just, take that times 100 for this market,
Yeah. So yeah, it's got the market. Look, there's really not enough pieces of the crystalline osmium to go around in a significant form that you won't be squinting at, right?
Right.
And so I think that's a huge capture on this. Now, will they ever produce more? Not likely.
Right.
So there is a certain sense of like you only have so much time, and what will be the value on it by the time you get around to it, but that's again any market, any market. Every time something comes to market, uh, it's those that get in early on the market that really end up being able to pay off. Remember the Bitcoin pizza, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but like had he just, it was so meaningless to people that he bought pizza with it at the time because they didn't think it would ever be worth, quote unquote, worth anything, And today, even though I hear people all the time argue, well, it's not backed by anything. I kind of got to say it's backed by every person's dollar that's put a dollar into it.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, as long as people are buying it and selling it, and this trade continues and this trade trend continues, it's worth the money that's invested. It's the sum total of the diversity of the market input. So,
Right.
like, meaning, like, if Russia decides to dedicate more to it tomorrow, well, it'll have a Russian bearing influence on the Bitcoin, But, if I don't know, Saudi Arabia decided they wanted to go Bitcoin tomorrow, it would have their influence on that market or whatever. But the point is that, these all.
I lost you at 11 years in the market, Space Miner. I don't know if you can hear me, but I lost you there. And Sunshine Element says, after 11 years on the public market, it has grown stable in price, also established in asset and high-end jewelry market with decentral owners in every country. Can you imagine? Indeed, exactly, Sunshine Element. Yep. Yeah, let me know when you get back, Space Miner. You there? But yeah. So 888, like you're saying, yeah. A large round Sparkle 5 could be like a original Van Gogh. Yeah, but it could be the large, Sparkle Grade 1 in disc could be the Van Gogh. It doesn't necessarily, it could be the 5, but it could be the 1 just as easily for whatever, maybe the 5 doesn't get used up in discs as much as the 1, and so the 1 actually becomes the more rare Van Gogh because there's not very many discs of that left. So yeah, I think of that on all levels, and like it could very well be on the osmium nectar, right? The hexagons could be like the large Sparkle Grade 1 hexagon, or the large Sparkle Grade 5 hexagon is the Van Gogh. Like, we don't know until it kind of plays out and happens, but they each could be, of a large value because of, for whatever reason. Are you there, Space Miner? There, I hear you. You there? Hello. Earth to Space Miner.
Hey, you got me.
That's a good one. Earth to Space Miner. Okay, I hear you now.
Sorry, man. I guess I just fell off the face of the earth.
I guess so. You're too far up in space, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, suppose we should wrap this up. But
we're just getting started.
What do you got for last words or parting words or something else you'd like to cover?
I don't care what the haters have to say or what the negative market has to say about it. It doesn't need all. It's kind of got a really cool quality with the rarity that you don't need the whole world to agree with you. You only need a couple that understand it.
Yep, that's it. And I wanted to mention that on the liquidity, like, it's not liquid. Oh, really? I mean, says who? Like for us, it's been selling as long as people are buying. Just because, I mean, the market is small, and as small as the market is, it's selling, and everywhere it's going so far, it's selling. Just like Sunshine Element was saying, he just said after 11 years on the public market, it has grown stable in price, also established an asset and high-end jewelry market with decentral owners in every country. Can you imagine? And that's exactly it, right? Like it is liquid amongst the small market that it is, and as much as it's selling for that small market, it's actually quite liquid.
Agreed.
So it depends on how you're looking at it, and for us being at the beginning of this, I think we are at the beginning of a valuable thing, and can ride out the wave. I think that's a smart way of looking at it. But
we're the beginning of the market. We're the formation of the market. We in a lot of ways we're dictating where the market goes. Like every time a person purchases, they've leaned the market in that direction.
yep.
But the fact is that I've seen a grand diversity of people that have personally bought from me. Everything from gold mine owners to to my buddies to whomever, all sorts of fields, everybody coming at it from a different perspective.
Yep,
Because
men, women, yep. Asset to
like, look,
jewelry,
you could
different
almost
ideas.
pick a point at random and say, yeah. Well, it literally it just they did a big university study on this not too long ago. A university took a look into this to kind of answer the scam question a little bit, right? Like, what is this? What are we dealing with? And they analyzed the crystallized osmium and decided that, you know what, this is actually something more. It's a new asset class. They literally called it a new asset class. Not only does it meet the 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 class specifics of all these other types of asset classes, but it creates a brand new asset class. And it's kind of a cool study, and you can I'll dig up where to find that later, but
Cool.
you can dig it up. It's out there.
Yeah, it's like that's what I was saying. I started a little list here and it's like the amount of boxes checked for the most with this product is just I keep finding more. It's like it's the rarest, it's the most stable, it's the densest, it's got the highest abrasion, it's most inert, pressure resistant, unforgeable. I mean, blah 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 blah
Blah blah
blah.
blah.
And like
Yeah, it's like,
when you talk about the
yeah,
metals and how they're formed, like some people say, oh, it was a star exploding. Now it's not one star. Now they're saying, oh, it's when two stars got together and exploded. And I'm sure they'll change that in a bit too. But like, just on looking at how rare it is as an element, and it's a metal, and it's noble, and it like it, who would have, I mean, it's all of those things into one thing. You find the rarest element, stable element, you wouldn't think that it would be the most precious metal with the most highest abrasion resistance and the most dense, and like all of those, it just keeps going and going, and it's like, wow, what an amazing thing to be able to get your hands on. Oh, did I lose you again? It's like Bitcoin plus art. Yeah, there you go. It's 888. Yeah, it's just so unique, so amazing, so many cool attributes and elements surrounding it, let alone being a precious metal and a tangible asset.
well, and I've kind of, jokingly called it, the tangible crypto.
Yeah. Yep.
It meets. I think if people took a little bit of time, like especially a lot of the youth that are involved in crypto and are wanting to kind of like start leaning towards precious metals, I think what we'll see soon is that a lot of these guys will recognize these basic economic principles, and they'll say, hey, this is exactly what made me a lot of money in the crypto market. And now that I want to get into tangibles, they'll do the same thing in precious metals as they did in the crypto market. They'll buy, gold and silver, and then they'll start, hot pocketing on all these that are all over like Ian's rhenium as an example. And so I'm just, there's just so much to a market that's so limited in volume, especially when we're entering an era where you don't need as much materials as you used to need, and materials can go a lot further now. We can start applying them in consumable industries again. I mean, that's right around the corner.
Yeah, yeah, and what's for me looking at it, like when I look into all these crypto coins, and to me, or just fiat cash, we went into an imaginary world, where it really doesn't even exist. You got all this hype around a something that's not even really there. It's just kind of a false reality that's taken on. Well, and this is really going on, I think, in the world. There's so many that are living in a false reality, but reality is going to start to come back into play. And for the amount of value in these cryptos that is just kind of floating around in an abstract, non-real way, when people come back to reality of, oh wow, I want something that is actually real, I mean, this would just shoot right to the top of your market. So because like I'm saying, it checks all those boxes of the most rare, the most dense, the most inert, I mean, and it's the most noble metal. I mean, it's all those things that you would want, and plus like a whole array of more. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, everybody. I think we're gonna wrap this one up. I don't know. I keep losing Space Miner. Are you there? You got anything you want to add before we close this down, Space Miner? I think we might have lost him.
Man. Oh, can you not hear me?
No, I got you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, man. I think you nailed one of the most important points in this, is that we are entering a time where tangible is going to matter, especially when, as hostilities increased and trade tensions increase, you're going to need some tangible goods, to store your value and preserve your values. And so approach osmium responsibly, your crystallized osmium. Make sure that your silver, make sure your debt's taken care of. Then make sure that your silver is in place. Then make sure your gold's in place. Make sure you got a little bit of platinum to hang around. This is a diversity strategy. This is a long-term strategy. It's best suited to take your time with this. And although it has the capacity to carry in a very quick manner, the best results will be achieved through time, patience, and just wise investment, which we should be doing with all of our metals. So get your house in order, get your house in order, get your bills in order, get your silver and your gold down. Now you're ready for diversification of tangible investments. So
Indeed. Yeah, for the group that says you'll own nothing and be happy would be no happier. I mean, they'd be very content with you just owning crypto, because you're basically owning nothing, you see. And so there's a group out there that would like you to remain owning nothing and being happy. But for those of us who understand that that's a ploy, like a marketing scheme, like a pyramid scheme or what have you, reality is going to matter. And like Space Miner saying, tangible elements. a TAB economy. What's your abbreviation for a TAB economy? Tangible asset economy? What is it? B, TAB, tangible asset.
It's a
No, we keep losing him. But yeah, we want you're gonna want to own real things, real investments, property, cars, things like that. Just because they want you out doesn't mean it's good for you, So own something that can't be taken away from you, that can't be seized when you're driving down the road and you've got some rogue cop pulls you over and wants to do a asset forfeiture, even though it's completely unconstitutional and you're supposed to be able to travel without search and seizure. They've, again, instead of us living in a law of the land constitutional basic understanding, we have all of these legalities that are now trumping actual law. And so the right to travel without search and seizure is being overtaken by the legality, and so be careful. And this is something that allows you to kind of overcome that problem. It can't be seized from you just by taking it personally, but yet it is that asset that you can hold in hand tangibly. So it's like the best of both worlds there. So lots of great things about it. If you're there, Space Miner, tell everybody goodbye and where they can find you, and we'll wrap this one up.
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Okay, yeah. Where can we find you?
You can find me over at Space Miner here on YouTube, and you can email me at spaceminer5000@gmail.com, and I'll answer all your questions and help you out and help you source whatever you're after. So let's do this for the tangible asset-based economy. Let's aim at some alternative investment metals.
All right, cool. It sounds like 888 the Great says Tiger has Ian on now, so they're probably talking a little bit more about osmium. So if you want to go check out Tiger at Tiger Stacker on YouTube, and
B Raid LLC Raid.
That's right. Let's go raid Tiger's channel and say what's up to Ian and Tiger. Thank you so much for coming on with me, Space Miner. Love having your insights here, and we will talk to you all soon. Catch you on the next.
Bye, guys. Bye, Cat. Bye, B.